So, I'm pretty much a history buff. And one of my favorite eras in history was the Cold War. And one thing I really liked studying was all the spies throughout the Cold War on both sides. And in addition to reading up on the history of them and what happened and what they did and all this, I also like to read about the trade craft. And in addition to reading up on the history of them and what happened and what they did and all this, I also like to read about the trade craft. How our intelligence agencies ended up catching these spies when they did. And when I was reading Edward Snowden's book, Permanent Record, that's kind of what I was thinking about. Because a lot of times he was describing the things he was doing, collecting documents secretly from the government while he was at work. Yeah, he kind of described himself as being some kind of spy, even though he's a whistleblower. So his experience kind of made me think about all the things I was reading. And some of them had to do with the topic he was discussing in his book, which was the surveillance state. So yeah, one of the things I read about was all about how our government agencies would use fear of surveillance as a way to catch spies. And they would do that because sometimes they wouldn't have enough evidence against somebody, but they suspected they were doing something. So how they'd get them to come forward was that they would do overt surveillance. Basically, they'd make it clear to that person they were being followed and they were being surveilled. So there was no question to that person that, yeah, they were onto them. And the whole idea was to create enough stress that that person would maybe give themselves up and confess to what they were doing, or that they would be so stressed that they would just go off the deep end somehow and basically self-destruct. So, although Edward Snowden isn't talking about overt surveillance, he's talking about very much hidden surveillance that we can't even see, and most of us wouldn't even know about it if he hadn't have come forward. The thing that made me think of that was just how sometimes it's hard to tell about something like a mass surveillance system without having an inadvertent effect of creating fear. The type of fear that they would intentionally cause people. And this method, as well as others, also came up in other historical readings, and how the FBI similarly treated writers, dissidents, and scientists that they didn't like, and that maybe they wanted to stop somehow. So yeah, overt surveillance, a documented form of government harassment.